Good morning, everybody. Welcome back again for our virtual users groups. Today is February 6th. My name is Stephen Bolden, and today's topic is going to be about the Emarketing Part 2 of 3, the Template Designer. So last week, for those of you that joined us, we went over the Emarketing accounts, all the details you need to know about the send limits, how to get set up with the accounts, how the sending works, and why you should use Emarketing. And today we're going to review in detail how to actually build the templates. So there's a few ways to get into your template designer. One of the ways is that you can go to this Emarketing panel in Act, head on over to the Create tab. And for those of you in the newer versions of Act, you'll see the Create tab is now one of these toolbars along the top here with your templates shown right within there. For those of you on older versions of Act, you may see a 2 or 6 panel column layout kind of across the top, but one of these sections will say create. You will find something similar to that word create, a hyperlink down along there. And if you click it on an older version of Act, what it will do is actually just launch a web browser for you. And the web browser will automatically log you into this URL, aem.spsend.com. Kind of an acronym for emarketing.swiftpagesend.com. And for the newer versions of Act, it actually puts a copy of that web page just embedded directly into your Act console here. But regardless, in both cases, I strongly advise and insist that you just open up a web browser. I particularly like Google Chrome, and go to aem.spsend.com. That will take you to this login screen where you can then log into your account and you do all of your template designing and building from your web browser. It can be done from any computer. It doesn't even need to have Act installed on the computer. Some people will have an outbound marketing person that might be designing these, and you can have them work from this everywhere. You do need Act in order to actually send the template out. But you log into aem.spsend.com. This is kind of your dashboard here, and along the top we have our dashboard, the main page we're looking at here, our templates, and then our reports. There's also an option to change e-marketing settings, such as your name and email address that are shown in the bottom of your emails, and to change some of your passwords and things like that. So looks like we got a little bit of slowness going on today. That's always fun. It's a give and take in terms of exactly how it's going to behave on one day to the next. Usually it loads a bit faster than this. So we click on templates, the template manager is loading, and what I want to draw attention to are these two boxes over here to the right that show My Templates, Basic, and Premium. So the first time that you load this up, the My Templates folder is going to be completely blank and have nothing within it. The second drop down are subcategories of the first. So as I look under My Templates, I can see some different categories that I've created to help organize some of the email marketing templates that I've made. But then under Basic and Premium, you'll see some email marketing templates that are available to everybody. These are ones that come with the e-marketing platform, and they're good starting points for your templates that you're making today. For your first templates, I recommend that you take one of these basic ones and copy it over and change it. Even the premium ones are nice too. In my mind, I kind of have always gravitated ultimately towards starting with just one of these basic templates and customizing it myself by adding some images and my own columns and layouts and designs. You shouldn't get too hung up on the actual design of some of these other templates, because when you change out the colors and the wording in the images, they don't always look the same at the end. It's kind of like, what do you have left? If we look through some of the premium ones, you can click on each one of these to see if you like any of them, like the layout and the design. You can click on the little eyeball here to preview it. And if the server response time would be a little faster, we should see a preview come up. Boy. The ones that are flagged, oh, okay. Well, now I've got my template designer coming up, or my template preview window. So we can see like this restaurant offer template. It's got a spot for an image up top, some text for a name, some other design about, a title. So you can use these stock photos that they have, but most likely you're going to be replacing all of them with your own in every case. The ones that have the little orange flag are mobile responsive. So I'd say try to really only look at those ones. They are designed so that if you view them on a mobile browser, they will automatically size down. If I bring this one up in the template preview, for example, this tasty newsletter to show you what I mean by mobile responsive. We can see that throughout the template, we have kind of columns with, columns on the left and text on the right. And we have a preview option over here where you can actually see what your device might look like on a more narrow browser window. So here's desktop, but if I click on the mobile phone, and it shows the template on a mobile. And now rather than having everything stacked on the left and right with our different columns, it goes vertically so that things don't get narrowed down and made tiny. So you want to make sure that you always use a responsive template. If we start with one of these more basic ones and build it from scratch, these are all responsive. And the way that you build them within eMarketing, even if you build one from scratch in eMarketing, will make them responsive as well. So you are not only limited to those in the end. So I'm going to copy over this basic one here, this professional letter. If I want to add this into the My Templates section so that I can actually edit this and start modifying it, then you click on the plus to add it to My Templates. It's going to ask if I want to copy it over, and I will put it into a category called Demo. If I want to create a new category, you just free type anything in there that you'd like. Some people just start off with a category called their company name, but it is good to kind of plan ahead, maybe make some categories based on your template category there. Make it easier to find them later if you start having hundreds of templates. And we'll call this one Basic Demo Feb 2018. A template name. This is an internal name that will just be for your own purposes. When you see them all on a list, and you can pick out which template was the one you were working on. It's never going to be exposed to the end recipient. So here's a rather basic template, but it's got all of the different elements that we want to work with for now. So on the top here, well, not the very top, I'll come back to this teaser text, but on the top here, we have an image. So if we want to change out this image and put something else here, you'll see that as I mouse over all of the different elements of this template, we have these windows that appear. And they call these Swift windows, but they are different blocks that you can drop content into. On the left side, we have styles. We have 4 tabs. The first is styles. This controls different colors and formatting options. Things like background and text colors, borders, padding, and fonts and font sizes. We have layout elements where you can drag and drop new windows onto there, such as full column-wide pictures and text blocks. You can do 2-column pictures and text or 3-column. And like I mentioned just a minute ago, these, if you do a 2-column or a 3-column, will automatically be responsive for mobile friendliness if you do add a 2-column block onto there. We have images. This is where we can control images that we've uploaded from our computer and replace the images that are in the template here. And we have files, and this is where you can control different file attachments if you wanted to attach a PDF or some type of a document into here. I'm going to start with the Images tab. We have 2 tabs within here. There's a Stock Images folder. All of the different images across all of those different email templates that ACT offers are licensed stock photos that you can use. They have them in all of these different categories that you can look through. Free use stock photos. Most commonly, everybody wants to use their own pictures. So on the My Images tab, you won't see anything in here to start, but just like the templates, we can upload them from our computer with this upload icon. So you click on the upload, you choose a category that you want to put the images into. I do recommend that you categorize your images to make it easy on you to find them later. Otherwise, you'll end up with one images folder with hundreds of things in it, and you'll have to page through all the different events. And I'll put these into a 12.3 folder and browse to images on my computer. And I don't know, here's a picture of That's a big picture, but I'll choose this picture of a building. Choose the picture off your computer, you wait for it to upload. And once it's at 100%, we can close that out and go check out this category for 12.3 where the other images are loaded and my picture is right here. And if I want to replace the image that's in the template, I just drag and drop, and it's going to automatically resize and drop the image in there for me. Voila. Similarly, we can go to, if you added any of these other blocks in here, like this layout, if I wanted to do this like 50% wide image with text on the right, then I can drag this block right here, drop where I want to place it, such as right there. And it's just giving me a placeholder, a spot to drop a different image and some more text. If I want to change the ordering of this, maybe I dropped that in the wrong spot, then I can use these arrow up and downs on the left as I hover over a block to switch their order. Maybe I want this title to be above the picture or something like that. So that I can hover over these arrows to move them up and down. This is the duplicate row option. So if I wanted to have a second bar or something below the image and box it in, then I can do something like that. So that's how you work with images in a nutshell. Upload them off your computer, have a spot to put them, and then you drag and drop them within. Good practice for all images, once that loads up there. Good practice for all images is to also have them be hyperlinks. It's a good user experience that people tend to click on images all the time when they're within email blasts. So as I hover over these text blocks, image blocks in particular, we have a hyperlink icon where I can add a link. And so I can actually paste in a link here if I want my image to be a hyperlink to some type of a website, and I can update it. You can also fill in the alt text. Alt text serves a few functions. It was originally designed so that people with disabilities would be able to use mouse over and text-to-speech software to describe what an image is about. It's also used in place of when an image doesn't load. And so this is going to be something that you'll see a lot in Outlook. This is something that email marketers fight with all the time, is that Outlook and many email clients, most email clients, will block images by default when you send to somebody, and the recipient has to say display now or choose to display images. There is no way around it. We can't force them to display the images. So it's important when we're designing templates to make it so that our message gets across as much as possible. If somebody chooses not to turn those images on, we want to still capture that split second of attention that they'll give it regardless. If you use alt text, it's really just kind of like a descriptive text of what the picture is. And if the image is not being displayed, there will be a red X with the alt text shown next to it. So it's a good idea if you're ever hyperlinking these, even just drop a link to your website and put the alt text in there. That way, if somebody does click on it or if the image doesn't load, you're doing some best practices there. Going back to that display images error as well, is another common question I get. People will get a large PDF or some type of flyer from their design team and they want it turned into an email blast, and they think they'll take the easy way out by just screenshotting the entire promotion and dropping it into a template as one big image and then calling it done. I see some surprisingly large companies try to do this too. It's just bad form for the reason I just described, because someone's going to receive it, their Outlook is going to block the image, and it's just going to be like a whole email with a tiny red X in it and nothing else. So make sure that you try to mix them with images and text. In addition to adding the links to the images, you can also edit the images. I don't want to go into this too much. Emarketing does have a built-in image editor where you can do cropping and add silly stickers and effects and rotations and resizing. Quite frankly, I strongly advise that you just edit all of these on your own computer first with whatever software it is that you like to do that with. For really basic cropping and resizing, I've always kind of been impartial to this Microsoft Office Picture Manager. It's a really simple, lightweight program that will let you do resizing and cropping. And if you want to do anything more advanced, then you can certainly use Photoshop or any other programs like that as well. So that's just about everything about images. If you want to then change text, if I try to click on this text, I've got nothing. I don't have an edit bar. And that's because we have to take the entire template into text edit mode using the buttons over here on the right-hand column. First button is edit template text that will allow me to edit any of the text on the page. We have an undo button so that you can undo any change that you've made. A save template button, use this kind of compulsively. A save as, this will save a copy of your template. So this is useful if you want to duplicate it for a different send, but you don't want to modify the original. Then you open up one template and do a save template as. And then there's a preview template, which will bring up that preview panel again, where you can test out the mobile layout, and you can even send a test email to yourself right from within here. We'll come back to that. But I'm going to start by clicking on the template text. And now I can edit any of this text. And you'll see as I click within the bar, then I've got a toolbar that comes up with all sorts of text options on it, like bold and underline, alignment, tables, links, subscript and superscript, font colors and sizes, and mail merge fields. So I can edit this template and call this, I don't know, I probably should have come up with a template design before I started doing this, but we'll call it New York Beer Project Comes to Lockport, because I happen to use a picture of the New York Beer Project, built by one of my customers' construction agency. And then maybe on this second bar, I don't actually want to write anything. I just want that to be a blank bar because it kind of frames the picture nicely. Also up top was a spot for this teaser text on top of the email. So some of you might have noticed this. There's text on top that says, use this area to offer a short teaser of your email's content. Text shown here will be in the preview area of some email clients. This is really important these days. If you pull up any type of email client, I'm hesitant to pull up my email window because I don't want to expose any of your email addresses to YouTube. But if you look at your Outlook or your email client, you'll see that if you hover over any email that you've received, it will show the sender's name, the subject line, and the first sentence or two of the email. It pulls in the first text of the body of the email. It does this on my phone, it does this on Outlook and in Google. It's really, most email clients will show kind of a template preview. It's important that we fill this in because the template preview will be shown in that preview panel before people even open it, and this will help kind of give it away if the first preview text that they see of your email blast is some HTML that says view email in browser and then a bunch of code that looks like it's an image or a link tag. That turns people off right away, and you might get a lower open rate. So by having some plain text displayed right on the tippy top of your email, you can kind of guarantee that preview text will be controlled. So I'll say, I might just kind of repeat the main title of this email template up here on top, just so that way that people can see kind of this teaser text. So it's almost your second chance at writing a subject line, and you can use it in that way as well. The actual subject line for the email, for the record, will be sent out. When we actually send it, that's when you'll set the subject line. Other text options. So you can take the text that's displayed here. I can change anything about it if I want to highlight it and make it bold and put some sample text in here. I'm just going to type some sample text about the article. Pretend that I was typing up a lot there. I'll use my alignment to send that back left. One really neat thing that you can use here are mail merge fields. So mail merge fields will pull data from your ACT database and put it into your template for you. So if I wanted to say, put the contact's first name as a good salutation here, I could say something like dear, and then using this envelope icon here on my toolbar that says insert mail merge, I have some standard ACT fields that I can pull in from. And so I'll put the first name in there, and by clicking on that, and it says dear first name. And you can guess what happens when I go to send this out is it will take every contact's individual first name and place it in there. It will follow any formatting that I choose. So if I actually make this tag be bold and blue, then it's going to come across that way. It's also worth being cautious at this point, though, that if you send it to somebody in your database who doesn't have their first name filled in, then it's going to look awkward to them. It'll say dear, comma, and they might think that's strange. When working with the text editor, similar to the images, I can highlight any text and click on the hyperlink icon to make a link across whatever text I have highlighted. And so if I make a link about this, I will say URL, 12.3.com, text, I'll say 12.3. This secondary text is again, I don't know, this text is going to be which text you want to link. So I'll go ahead and drop that in there. And it says sample text about the article, and now that's linked up by pressing OK. Steve asked a question about, can you just drop in the whole mail merge text? Yeah, you can copy and paste into here. You got to be careful because it's going to bring across formatting a lot of the times. I sometimes recommend that if you have a large amount of text that you want to copy and paste into there, to open up a program like Notepad first and maybe copy and paste some of your text into Notepad, so that way it will strip out any type of formatting. And then when you copy and paste it back into your template editor, you'll avoid having wacky formatting and line breaks and font sizing that can mess things up. Alternatively, if you are using Google Chrome, there is an option when you paste. If you right click, you can say paste as plain text, and that will do the same thing, where it will strip out any type of formatting. So if you are copying over from a pre-existing mail merge template, then that will save you some headaches that come across with that, like when you copy out of Word. A few other things that you can do in the layout editor. There's like a horizontal line. That's one of the elements here. So we have images, we have text, we have horizontal line. If I want to drop one in there, it can be nice kind of separators. I can use this trash can to delete one. Those are really the main ones that you use. Some of these things like padding control how much buffer space you see around different like images or words. So if I want like this title bar to have a bit more padding around the words in that blue border, then I can choose this big padding pixel, drag and drop it over the cell, and it will make that a bit wider. Similar things to these borders. If I want to take the border, there's a border around the entire template. If I wanted to maybe get rid of that, I can take this 0 border weight and drop it onto the template, and it will ask if I want to apply that border to just this cell or to the full template. If I do full template, then it disappears. Similar with text or with fonts. As you're using this text editor, you can highlight different sections, and if you want to change the font, you can use this font styling drop down and highlight and choose one. Or what you can sometimes do is at the very end, you can use this styles menu to find a font that you like, and you can drop it on the entire template. You just drag and drop the font onto the block, and it will actually give you an option to apply that font to the entire template all in one click. So yeah, that just about some colors for the menu options. So we have things like template colors here. You can use these colors similar to everything else. You drag and drop it onto the field that you want to change. So if I wanted to make this bar black, I can drag black right onto this blue bar. It asks, what did I want to do with that black color? And I can say apply it to the background for the entire row, the row being the length of the block that goes across the row. And click block there. There we go. And now that's black. And if you want different colors beyond these template colors, you can press the add color option. You can use the little slider to try to find a color that you like, or you can type in a hex value of an exact color if you wanted to match it perfectly. In this case, I'll just add this purple. You select the color you want, you check the box next to the color itself, and then say add, and then it appears on this list, or I can drop it on to the template, drag and drop the same way. Add it to the block, and then add it to the row. And now I've got purple on there too. John has a question. Can Font styles be added? No and yes. The answer is no. They've only got these limited font styles. This is a question that goes back a long time. They used to only have about 6 fonts, and they were the Unicode standard system fonts. They were chosen because these ones can display on basically every device and phone and browser out there. And so you can be very confident in the consistency of how your template will display at the end. They've expanded them to include a few extras. However, there are a lot of other fonts out there, and many of them are widely supported. If you wanted to get really fancy with it, and I hope not to overload anybody watching this, but you can actually change elements of your email blast with the element inspector in Google Chrome. It's a reason that it's one of my favorites to use Google Chrome, but you have to know HTML to use it. Emarketing does not have a raw HTML editor built in, but if you right click on something in Chrome and go to inspect element here, then you'll actually see a element inspector with all of the HTML loaded within it. And again, if I'm losing you, that's okay. But here underneath the font family, I could actually manually specify some fonts that aren't in there, like you know, Franklin, Gothic, Book, and manually change some of this, and it will actually add it and change it. I must not have put that into the right spot there. But I could actually modify this as HTML, and any changes that you make, you can put any different fonts in there and save them up. If you have something that you're really particular about, a different font that you want to use and a style and a layout that you're going for, then it's a good time for me to plug my own design services. I will design your email templates for you, and we'll build them together and get them professionally done so that they look great. Stephen asks another question. Can you just pre-format all eMarketing templates so it matches mail merge font? No, Stephen, these templates are just completely separate from your mail merge. The mail merge templates that you've made in ACT, if you're asking about these ones up here that are under the right in the documents, they're in a totally separate world. There's no coordination or collaboration between those templates and these ones in your eMarketing account. And there is no way to set a global font across all templates. Your templates are designed, each one as its own design settings for fonts and styles. Last but not least, we have the preview template option, where we can then click on this little eyeball to bring up our template preview window and send test emails to ourselves. Once it loads, there will be an option. It'll pre-populate this with my email address in here, and I can send a test email to myself if I want to just quickly see what they look like in my actual browser. And I can play around with the devices to see how they appear. So I hope that helps everybody today. I know there's still a lot to cover. The template editor, really the best way to do it is just to dive right in and play around with it. Have a design in mind. It helps if you have some type of project that you're working towards rather than just building them on the fly. But regardless of whatever you're trying to send out, an event invite or a newsletter, you know, get in touch with me and I'll help build you through your first one. We can design templates for you, and then you can reuse them as many times as you'd like. So it can be a pretty good value in that way. I hope that you'll join me next week for when we send these out and go over all of the reporting, figuring out who clicked on what links and the bounces and the opt-outs. Maybe if time permits, we'll talk about adding those SPF records that I mentioned last week in detail for higher deliverability. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day. Bye.